Everyone. Today we're making two more leaves for a total of three. Okay. I'm really excited because we're almost done making all the pieces. So hopefully today we can start pinning and sewing everything together. Do you see the size of this yarn ball? If you made something with it like a sweater, maybe you would use it up really quickly. But I feel like, how do you ever finish this? It's the size of my head. I really like Flabebe's design, and I love how you can find them with so many different colors of flower. So it would not be anytime soon because these projects take a long time. I think this is actually the most detailed crochet project I've made so far. Maybe sometime far in the future, we can come back and make them in red and blue. And I don't remember all the colors, but all the other ones that there are. I've only found one Florges pattern on all of Ravelry, and it's not my favorite. So if anybody else knows one, feel free to put it in the comments or in the chat. I do have a floette pattern that I really like, and that one I probably would not make right away either because I want to do more painting and drawing on stream, but that's something that I think I might do here soon. I don't think this is meant to look creepy at all, but like when I just see the stamens in this, and I'm looking at the picture right now, and the Flabebe isn't there, and there's just a flower with a bunch of like strings coming out of it. It almost looks like it has tentacles. I don't I don't know. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 9 around. The shape of these flowers, well, not necessarily the flowers themselves, but the leaves almost reminds me of a rose. A lot of rose leaves are like an oval shape, but one end will be long and pointy and the other will be shorter. I don't think these flowers are inspired by any particular one kind. They don't really look like any one specific flower I know. But it's fun to look at them and go, hey, this aspect of them reminds me of one kind of flower. Here, that's the leaves. But this other part of them reminds me of a different flower. For example, roses' petals are not this pointy, but I have seen other flowers, like some kinds of daisy looked pointy to me. I'm not using my stitch marker here because there's not that many stitches, so I can keep track of what I'm doing pretty well. But they can be helpful if the rows get like any bigger than this. Let's start decreasing here. I wonder how big this flower will look once it's done. Because I'm looking at the petals, and they're not small exactly, but they don't look like gigantic. So I wonder if the Flabebe will actually look kind of big. That's going to be a first. I don't think I'll put the face on until I'm done putting the flower together, like the final detail. Okay, time to sew this up. I'm not the only one who's a little surprised that the Flabebe line isn't fairy grass, right? That's probably something people have been whining about since 2013. And I get why they're not. Fairies, there are stories about them just living in flowers, but with this particular group of Pokemon, they seem to fuse with the flowers once they become Florges. So I can also very clearly see why you would want them to be a grass type. They've become one with things that live in grass. Okay. There's the next leaf. It's a little bit pointier than the last one. One, two. I really, they're not the only inspiration, but for a long time I've been thinking it would be fun to draw a character that's kind of like a human fused with a flower or someone with a flower motif. And I wonder if I could not just limit myself to one character. It could be fun to draw a bunch of things that are inspired by flowers. A lot of times people make those fairies, but I'm not thinking fairies necessarily. Just like people. Maybe they have magic, maybe they don't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I love roses, so I definitely want to draw at least one character that's inspired by pink roses. I think they're really pretty. But in real life, I also like yellow ones. I think they're very cute, but they're also very delicate. They're a kind of flower that gets sick quickly, so they can be tricky to raise. But I really like white roses, and the color scheme of this project I'm making right now reminded me of that. But they have like green leaves, yellow pollen, white petals. It's a really pretty and calming color scheme. I guess I'm some kind of like botany trader because I regularly forget that red roses exist, even though they're like the rose, at least where I live. They're very beautiful. They're just also very intense. I tend to like pastels better. And I feel like anytime you have a character that's themed around red roses, they end up being kind of the same, which is like either femme fatale or just dramatic and sad, which I'm not super into. So I'd want to do something different. Yesterday I made soup again, which was fun. I finally learned why people use broth. I haven't made soup very many times, which is the recipe that I was using called for you to use water. So that was what I used. But what I forgot was the recipe also says for you to put a whole chicken into the soup, and then the bones will like flavor the water. I didn't have a whole chicken on hand, just parts of a chicken, so they did not flavor the broth, and I tasted it and I was like, "Huh, watery." So that's why people use broth. It wasn't too bad. I just put more spices in it when I ate it. I had 2 different people come in and talk to me while I was cooking, and one of them said, "Man, onions, those are strong." And the other person was like, "Onions, they smell so good." And I was like, "I can't even smell peas because I constantly have allergies." But good to know that people have opinions about them, I guess. I don't quite understand how people can just eat, like, sticks of raw celery, the soup had celery in it, because 'cause I've tried it and it has, like, strings. I don't know why it's stringy, but it is, and the strings get stuck in my teeth. So whenever I eat it, I either cook it so it's soft and no longer stringy, or I chop it up into, like, bite-sized pieces. I remember when I was little, my mom would make, like, ants on a log, and I'd be like, "Oh, no, thank you." She'd go, "Why don't you want ants on a log?" I would be like, "Because the strings get stuck in my teeth." And she would be like, "Huh?" Please leave a comment if you too had this experience. Okay, almost done this one. Okay, there we go. Check it out. All done. It says to sew the leaves to the bottom of the stem. What does that mean? Sew them all the way to it's like stems will only have leaves right on their on the bottom where they grow out of the ground. That doesn't make any sense. So for now, what I'm going to do is put the petals in place, and I'm going to have to turn back a little bit. Sew petals around inside of flower edge. When all petals are on, secure row 6 of flower bottom along outside of petals. What does that mean? Okay. I think the petals need to go like this. Then row 6 of flower bottom. Okay. I don't really know what it means about row 6 of a flower bottom, so I'm just going to worry about this right now. I should put the flat part on the inside. Why do you look a little forward? In the picture, the petals are overlapping slightly. Maybe it means I should like fold it back. like this. Okay. I think what this means is to like fold the petals a little so that they're like joined together here. But then if you see this part, then eventually we like sew that up so that you can't see the folded part. I need to pin this on so much because otherwise they will just like fall off. This will look better once it's all sewed on. I think I'm just going to use white for that so it blends in with the actual petals. Okay, and then when I go to the outside and sew this on, I'll use green. I think I actually put some of the yarn away last time I did this. So I'm going to have to get it back out. It's going to be so it's going to look really nice once it's all done. I've never made something that looks quite like this before. Another thing that happens a lot when I sew is I have trouble keeping it even. So that's the thing I'm going to work on here. Maybe add some more pins there. Okay, there's that one done. I always forget that when I put a lot of pins in something, it becomes kind of hard to hold because then it becomes very sharp. The soup recipe that I made too, it didn't have very many spices in it, just garlic and salt. Is that typical for soups? Because I feel like that's where a lot of the flavor comes from. But I also wonder if you made it with a whole chicken like you're supposed to, if most of the flavor would come from there and you keep the spices out so it doesn't get like overpowering. Okay. Look, it looks good so far. It reminds me of puzzle pieces. A couple of streams ago, I was talking about Dungeon Meshi, and where we were talking about Mithran and how he's kind of lost his desires. It reminds me of something that happens with ADHD too, where I don't know how it works, but I know it can make it harder for you to feel the needs of your body. Like if you're hungry or if you're tired, you might not notice that, or you might not just feel it and automatically know what it means like a neurotypical person would. So I'm really curious about why that is. I find it very interesting that I can see this character who has an experience that's so similar. Okay. We're sewing through a lot of layers here, so it's taking a minute. Okay. Hopefully that'll look a little neater once I continue sewing. I'm trying my best to keep these pins from falling out. I think because there's so many, they're, like, sticking into each other, not holding on very well, but I need them. Recently, I saw a Cedo abroad that was like, "I tried baking for the first time, and I'm very curious." He's in his late 20s, right? Has he really never baked before? Did he when he got a birthday cake, did he just get it, like, from the store? I know he cooks some, if you can call what he does cooking, but really never baked? How is that like, did was he never interested in it? That's crazy to me because I love baking. I recently graduated from college, which I'm very proud about. I was telling my friend about it, and I told her my major, which was communications, and she said, "Wow, that's such a good major." That made me really happy. I'm curious about why she said that because I don't know very much about how different majors are regarded. What is it about communications that makes it a good major? Ah, ow, ow, ow. Okay, almost done. Okay. We have very few stitches left, so I want to make sure I don't like sew too much into any of them because then I'd be pulling on them too much and well, that tends to make them look very loose and then it looks like there's big holes in the crochet. So that's something I'm trying to avoid. Hold on. Okay. Once we tie this off, that should attach all the petals. And then we can go back here and sew this on. I think that's what it means by sew on the row 6. Sew this green part down so that it's flat against the petals. Every once in a while, I just flash back to that time Calliope Mori went to a massage place where the musties stepped on her, and she was like, "Guys, I finally understand why you all ask me to step on you." I don't think it's exactly the same reason, but I guess I can see the appeal. I don't think I'm really gonna need to pin this bottom part. I can see where I need to go pretty well. This is how the front part of the flower looks for now. It's super cute. I wasn't expecting it to look so nice and neat. I think I should be able to hide all the ends pretty well if I just put them under the screen part because I'll be sewing that down flat. I want to show you something, guys. I always thought that the Flabebe line only quote unquote became a flower when it became florges. But if you look at this, this is the tail and this is the stem of the flower. The Flabebe is going to sit in the middle of the flower like this, I think. Right now, I remember how its official art looks. It's like holding on to the flower. But if you look, these two look like they're just part of the same stem. Wanna make sure you can't see this from the front. Okay. It looks almost like a wheel like this. I think this will help the petals stick closer together too. While I was making chicken Alfredo a couple days ago, I got 2 containers of grated Parmesan just in case, and I ended up only using, like, 3/4 of 1 container, which is crazy. So now I just have 2 giant containers of Parmesan cheese, which I don't really like on its own, sitting in my pantry. I'm like, "What am I gonna do?" One of my brothers is also a cook, so I hope that he does something with it, because otherwise it's just gonna be sitting there for a very, very long time. I'm gonna need to go around this again to make sure everything is nice and flat, but after that, I think we'll be done for today. Speaking of the chicken Alfredo, while I was making it, I was thinking about how apparently breaking noodles as you put them into the pot is like sacrilegious. So I decided to see what would happen if I didn't crack them, and I thought they like would not fit. But it turned out that they got soft really quickly, and then I could just squish them into the pot. So now I question why people started breaking them in the first place. I kind of like the look of the slightly visible stitches. I'm not sure why, but it's very nice. Another thing that happened with Calliope Mori once, I love that she took a break. And when she came back, she brought a carton of milk because Chat kept asking for it for some reason. I don't know if she knew the meme at the time or if she was just messing with them, but it's because of the whole dad went to the store to get milk thing. They call Callie dad. Well, I guess she fulfilled your wishes. I wouldn't really call her that, but I get why people do it. She's like relatively normal for a VTuber, and she sometimes acts like her chat are unruly kids. And it reminds me of a teacher or a parent trying to rein in like very strange students. Oh, okay. Okay. I'm trying to preserve the like bubble shape here. I I don't think every flower in real life looks like this, but I have seen flowers where the bottom of them has like roundness, and I'm curious about why that is. The flower here, because it's so detailed and it's a little bit stuffed, it almost feels like a character in this project. I'm really happy with it so far. I think this will look really good once it's all done. It looks good from the front too. You can't even see the green. I really like this specific green, but for some reason it's also making me think of snakes, and I'm not sure why. Are there like snakes that are this exact green? I don't know what it's called. People who study snakes in the chat. You're almost done. I thought this would take much longer, but it's going really quickly. Okay, this should be the last little bubble. I don't know what each of these bubbles is called, that's why I'm calling them bubbles. I know what a lot of things look like, but I don't know specifically what their names are. This part here sticks out a little. I might sew that down. Let's go over here. Okay, can't see that from the front. Good. I think when I tie this off, I'll leave it with a long tail so I can just hide it in here. Okay, I think we have enough time to sew this stem on real quick. Look, it looks so good. Or I could do the stamens actually. Hold on. Okay, one minute. Do you see how I said they look a little bit like tentacles? I think it's because they're bigger than I'm used to. That looks almost like a pinwheel. Okay, I want to put everything in the right place so I sew it on well. Okay, okay, okay. That should be good. This end will be a little harder to hide, but I think it'll be okay. I'll tuck this end in later. Okay. I wonder if these pins aren't sticking very well because see how this is it's relatively flat, it's not stuffed very much? And that's just because it doesn't need to be, it's small. But in something like a stuffed animal, the pins would have a lot more stuffing to grab onto. Sorry about that. I'm trying to keep these all like equidistant from each other so they don't look too strange. Although in flowers, they're kind of irregular too, so it might not matter. Hold on. Hold on. One of my younger brothers is in a mood today, so if you can hear him, that's why. He's the one we call Baby Bowser because he has a lot of energy. We're almost done. I think we'll go back and adjust a couple of these. Typically, when I sew something onto another part of a project, I do a couple passes just to make sure it's sturdy. There's been a couple times, like when I made my Sylveon, I didn't do that on stream, but I did post it on my DeviantArt where I didn't sew things on tightly enough or where things just had so many details. They were a lot to keep track of. And and there was wire. So it was really delicate, and that's something I'm trying to prevent when I sew now. Okay. What did I do? Oh, whoops, hold on. I want to make sure I put this in the right spot. All right, just a couple more adjustments to make, and then I think we should be done. Okay. Yeah, they look like legs. All right, gonna tie this off now. All right, gonna tuck this in now. Right now, this looks like a creature. It looks like some kind of alien where these are the legs. It also looks like a flower, but I find it very funny. What? It looks so good. These look really nice. I wasn't expecting them to really look like where they have like the bulb on the end and then they're smooth. I've never done that before. If you turn it like this, nope, it looks like a UFO. Okay. We can stuff this a little. Okay. Okay, this shouldn't take too much stuffing, but I don't want it to just be like floppy. I want it to very clearly be round, like a real stem. I also don't want it to look too lumpy. That can happen when you put in just like bumps, like individual like blobs of stuffing. So I'm probably gonna squish it a bit once I'm done. Just a little more, I think. Okay, the rest of this took a shorter time than I thought it would. So I think we should be able to sew this stem on real quick, but then we'll definitely be done because I've got other stuff I need to do. Okay, I think I should be able to just whip stitch this on because they're both stuffed. They're pretty solid. I don't think there's any modifications I need to do. When I'm sewing one piece onto something else, usually what I'll do is start from the inside of it so that the knot is hidden, and I'm going to try and do that with this one. Recently, my cat decided it was a good idea to try eating like leftover bits of food from the sink, and it has not agreed with her. So I would kind of question, has she not caught on yet that this is what's making her it's what's messing with her digestive system. She just keeps doing it. Maybe cats are just resistant to admitting when they've done something wrong. Okay. There we go. It does look like a beautiful flower. Fine, fine. Maybe we can put on the leaves, but then I do have to do other stuff. Make them pointy. Put the pointy ends here. Okay. I wanted to put these two together because that's how leaves grow sometimes. It's super cute. But this means I have to sew through like 3 layers now. So I have to be very careful to keep everything in the right position. Okay. I gotta keep both leaves together too. This isn't something I do very often, but I don't want them to like fall out of place. All right. Now let's tie this off. Okay. Okay. Oh, isn't that pretty? I'm gonna tie this too. Okay, I'm gonna leave a spot where we can attach on the hands later just in case. But one, I'll add something here. One, two. I really like how in Flabebe's official art, it almost looks like it's holding this like an umbrella, and I don't think that was intentional, but it's very cute. I cannot wait to be done this. I'm really, really excited about it. Okay. Usually after I take out the pins, I'll pull on this a little bit to see if it's like too loose. I think that's pulling a little too much. It'll look loose. I didn't leave very much of a tail on this one, so I think I'm just gonna have to poke it in. I don't know if other people do this, but usually what I do is just poke it in with the blunt end of my needle. Okay. Look! How does it look so far? I think it looks great. Can you see the leaves better now? Okay. We are going to be done for today because we have done so much and I am really, really excited. But we will be back very soon to attach the ears and the face onto this Flabebe. And I think on that stream we will finally be done. So I'll see you next time.